Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started. My name is Ihor Michalchyshyn. I'm here in my capacity as the Executive Director of the Ukrainian Canadian Congress National, and also a recovering political staffer. I worked for 14 years for the Manitoba government, for Premier Duer, Premier Selinger, and I've been now 8 years working in Ottawa with the Ukrainian Canadian Congress. So you can do the math there and figure out how old I am. Older than some of the interns we have. But I'm really excited to have everybody here. We're going to try to do as much as we can within the time that we have allocated. So please think of your questions as you can. If you can write them down and pass them to me, we can try to get through as many questions as we can. So our speakers are going to have 5 minutes to present their presentation or slides. We're going to go through that, and then we'll get to Q&A. So again, if you think of a question, I'll be here at the corner. Please write it down on a piece of paper and bring it up to me. I have some bios just to introduce our speakers. So first we're going to start with the Honorable Tyler Shandro, husband, father, lawyer, former cabinet minister of the government of Alberta. He led the response to COVID-19 pandemic as Minister of Health. He was the Solicitor General, led the modernization of the Police Act, creating oversight over RCMP conduct. As Justice Minister, he renamed the provincial court to the Alberta Court of Justice and increased the court's jurisdiction and increased the size of the court by 7 positions. He's a passionate supporter of the Ukrainian Canadian community, was Minister of Labour and Immigration for the province of Alberta at the time of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, and involved in the key response since February 22. He's advocated for the monument to the legislative grounds in Edmonton to commemorate internment operations, and was involved in the founding of the Calgary Ukrainian Festival, and now is a board member of the Canada-Ukraine Foundation. So let's welcome Mr. Shandro.
Thanks. It's such an honor to be here to speak at this conference. Congratulations to APC for 50 years. It's an honor to be here with all these folks up here with me on this panel, and thank you for having me. So I was asked to talk a little bit about how I first got involved in politics, what motivated me to stay, and I first got involved in 1992. I was 16. I got a membership to a political party, and really I got a membership because it was an opportunity. Even though I was under 18, I could vote for the next leader of the party, who would then be the premier. And so I got a membership in 92 as a 16-year-old to be able to vote for in that leadership. Didn't really get involved in campaigning until about 2000. A neighbor and friend of my parents became an MLA, Harvey Sanenko, and I joined his board, ended up becoming the president, became a campaign manager after that, and then I just kept on getting more and more involved. The reason I got more involved is because I really enjoyed contributing to my community. You know, I ended up putting my name on a ballot, but I used to say that I didn't really want to be a politician, I have to say, but I really enjoyed just being a member of a political party and contributing to my community in other ways. I was also on the parole board and other tribunals and commissions, on the police commission in Calgary, and I just really enjoyed being involved in that political party because I wanted to help improve my community. Eventually ended up being a negotiator for the PCs and the uniting of the 2 right-wing political parties in 2016, 17, 18. And after that, I was encouraged by Jason Kenney to be one of his candidates in 2019. So that's how I got from 1992 to 2019. And so advice for folks starting to get involved in politics, it's really just about getting involved and just being on a board, being on a campaign. Usually campaigns are the best way to get involved. There's going to be a federal election next year. Whatever your political leanings are, I really encourage folks to get involved in a campaign. The people that you meet, the things that you learn on a campaign are the ways that you it just ends up growing from there. Every campaign, every election, you learn more, you meet new people, and you get better opportunities to help improve your community. So, well, that's plenty of time. Is that hopefully? You made me nervous, Kyle, when you said you were cutting our time in half. But no, I guess happy to take questions as well later on. But yeah, I guess that's the gist. Thank you.
Thank you. So you will give your time to the next speaker, I guess. So again, thank you to everybody who's joining us at the back of the room. We just said that each of our speakers has 5 minutes. We're going to try to keep the presentations short, and then we will have some time for questions. I'll be sitting over here. If you have a question that you want to write down and bring up to me, then we can try to get through more questions. Make some more friends in the crowd. Okay, Alyssa Stoddard, you're next here. So Alyssa is an active member of the Ukrainian community in Alberta. She's a descendant of Vasyl Eleniak, one of the first Ukrainian settlers to settle, not the first Ukrainian settlers to settle in Alberta. She honors her family's legacy and contributions by contributing to the community. She's active with VTID Ukrainian Dance Folk Ensemble on their board of directors. She's a secretary of the UCC Alberta Provincial Council, and she works in youth engagement, cultural, community, and political organizations in coordination with the government of Alberta. She received in 2022 the Strathcona County Award of Excellence for her youth engagement and advocacy, studying political science and English at the University of Alberta. She's also a senior consultant for What Matters Consulting. So we will turn it over to you, Alyssa.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I will take the time because youth perspectives matter. It's an incredible honor to be here to celebrate our Ukrainian community and discuss a topic that I am so passionate about, political youth engagement. And today I don't have the key to unlock the secrets of what perfect youth engagement is, but today I want to leave you in this session with a few takeaways. Number one, your engagement in our community is being engaged in politics. Number two, political engagement means knowing what is going on in your community, your province, and our country. And number three, and probably the most important one, is being engaged means you are taking action to advocate for what matters to you. So simply put, your time matters, your perspective and experience matters, your issues matters, and your issues matter because what matters to you is important. So I had a really nice introduction, so I'm going to skip the part of introducing myself. So let's get back to what we're here about and what matters, being engaged. If you know me at all, you know that my mantra is teamwork makes the dream work. And I have to tell you a secret, that youth engagement is a team sport. There is no single person that can engage youth, and it is up to all of us to open doors and create room at the table for youth perspectives to be heard. So even if you're not considered a youth by your age, you are a leader, a mentor, engager, and inspirer to the next generation of leaders in politics and our community. And for the youth in the room here today, I want you to know that your engagement is valuable. You are the next generation of leaders that will continue to do exceptionally good things for our Ukrainian community, our province, our country, and the world. So politics, it's really daunting when you look at it head on, but when you break it down, it really is all about your relationships. And your relationships and the ability to speak to the issues that matter to you are important. Growing up, my mom and dad always taught me to stand tall and confident, like a dancer, have a strong handshake, and always look people in the eye when you're speaking to them, and use my voice to make a difference. So, relationships in politics really do matter. Why? Because they help you be a better advocate, and they connect you to people in politics and your community. So call your councillor, your MLA, your MP, and ask to meet with them and talk about your concerns and issues. Build relationships so what matters to you can make meaningful change for our community. When you build relationships and talk with elected officials and political influencers, you are advocating for what matters to you and also what matters to them. Who you vote for matters. Now, I am not going to convince you, and I am never going to tell you who to vote for or how to vote in an election, but you have to vote. That is the number one and easiest way to engage in politics. And strong relationships in politics keep you engaged. I have met some of my closest friends and mentors in politics, and some of whom I am sharing the stage with today, and I'm very honored for that. They have opened doors, they have welcomed me to the table, and they've empowered me to keep advocating. Politics is really about people. Engaging is getting to meet those people that are involved. So what else matters in political engagement? Your time. Youth. You're going to school, you're working, you're active, maybe you Ukrainian dance too, and you're trying to stay more engaged and get more engaged in politics. Your time is so incredibly valuable, and how you use your time to engage matters. Volunteering and stepping up to contribute is a commitment. And this may be shocking to some, but Political engagement can be as simple as, number 1, voting, and number 2, following political pages on social media. Youth, we are the social media generation, so we can use it to our advantage. So follow your local councillor, follow your MLA, follow the MPs, follow the premier, follow the leader of the official opposition, follow a political party, follow the prime minister, follow President Zelensky. The list goes on to build a well-rounded timeline of political perspectives. Following advocacy organizations like UCC National and UCC-APC are also great platforms to follow, because you know that what we are advocating to the government on behalf of our community with Rick. Follow us. Okay, so you follow political leaders, parties, and influencers on social media. How else can you engage? In person. You build those relationships, you contact your elected officials, and even invite them to your community events, because they want to meet you and know what matters to you. You have the ability to let them be your advocate and make meaningful change happen. We're also in such an exciting time in politics. There are two, like Tyler said, there's a federal election that is going to happen in 2025, and also municipal elections will be held across Alberta next fall. So there's going to be a lot of campaigning, a lot of volunteer opportunities, and also a lot of our community leaders that will be stepping up to run to be an elected representative. And we, as community leaders ourselves, we have an opportunity to support and engage these leaders. I'm never going to tell you how to vote, and I'm also not going to tell you what political party or candidate to support. That's for you to build the relationship and determine who you support on the ballot. But as we head into an election period, this is a great opportunity for you to join a political party or start working on a candidate's election campaign. Campaigning really is a lot of fun. Door knocking and phoning constituents on a political campaign was one of the best ways I've been able to make connections and also have really good conversations with people about the issues and concerns that matter to them and how we want the future to look for our communities. It's all about people, and it's all about the relationship. I know I'm over time. There are so many doors and opportunities open to use your voice, get involved, and advocate on what matters to you. So join a political party and purchase a membership. Sit on an advocacy board in the Ukrainian community, at your school, or in your community. Talk to your friends and family about the issues that matter to you. Support a candidate running in the next municipal election or federal election and gain valuable campaign experience. There are so many ways to be involved in politics in Alberta. I hope I have offered a well-rounded landscape of the opportunities available to youth to engage in politics in our province. As you consider how you want to be engaged, I want you to remember that your relationships, your time, your perspective, and your issues matter, because you matter. So thank you today for listening and celebrating UCC-APC and our incredible Ukrainian community. You are contributing to the strengths of our community, and I'm excited to learn with you, grow with you, support you, and talk about the future of youth engagement in politics within our Ukrainian community. Thank you. Remember, what matters to you is important, never give up, and teamwork makes the dream work. Thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa. Very good tips, very good recommendations for everybody. We're going to go to Honorable Deron Bilous, and we have the slides. There we go. Okay. So Deron is a results-driven executive who served 3 terms in the Alberta legislature in opposition and government. In addition to being appointed Minister of Municipal Affairs and Service Alberta, he created the Ministry of Economic Development and Trade to attract international investment, leverage science and innovation, and support the Alberta business ecosystem. So over to you, Deron.
Yes, thank you very much. And I apologize to the previous speakers. I was quickly texting my wife saying, please email this the PowerPoint, because I didn't know that we had it. So that's wonderful. And I will say to Tyler, we sat opposite sides of the house, but I learned a lot about you today, so it's good to see you.
And we shared a desk, I think, in the legislature. Did you know that? Did I ever mention that to you before? I think I sat in your desk.
Yeah. There's a tradition in the legislature that you and you shouldn't do this in your schools, but in the legislature, you carve your name into the inside drawer of the desk. And so you get to see all of the MLAs that came before you, and it's quite amazing, actually. Okay, so my path to politics, I can tell you when I was in my teens and 20s, I did not want to be a politician. I did not think of politics In fact, I was probably one of the least engaged and self-absorbed people, quite frankly. And then, actually I shouldn't say my 20s, that was my teens. I went on a program called Canada World Youth, which is a youth exchange program. I'm sad to say it no longer exists because that really opened my eyes to a number of different issues, but also I learned a lot about myself and my country. I spent 3.5 months in Quebec. That's where I actually learned how to speak French, and then 3.5 months in Northern Africa. So that was quite incredible. And then, what else led me to it? Really, I'll jump forward to, I was a teacher for about 6 years at a small school downtown called Inner City High School. It's not Center High, actually it's called Inner City High School. And it was a remarkable school. One that, the students that went there were unsuccessful in the traditional system. So issues with addiction, in and out of jail, parents were either dead or in and out of jail. A lot of the students had kids of their own, and so the school really had to take a unique approach. I loved working there because they were there every day because they were trying to change their situation. They didn't have to go to school, but the school really met them where they were. And so it was really teaching there that I saw every year that access to programs and supports from the government of Alberta became more and more challenging. And it was quite frustrating to me. And I remember saying to Minister Dave Hancock, he was the Minister of Education at the time, this is back in the mid-2000s, I said to him, do you realize that it costs, if we just want to look at a conservative economic framework, it costs taxpayers $85,000 a year to incarcerate a person. It costs them $35,000 to put them through school. So why aren't more of them going through school as opposed to incarceration? So anyway, I decided instead of just complaining about the system to run, and so I ran in 2008. I got my rear end handed to me. I came in third, but decided that this is something I want to do. So then I worked leading up to the 2012 election and won by 245 votes out of about 40,000 eligible votes. Now, not that many people vote, unfortunately, but it just goes to show that every vote really matters. And sorry, I forgot about my slides. So, my message is similar to my predecessors. It's just a matter of getting involved and figuring out what's important to you. What is your issue? And politics, electoral politics may be the path for you, but there are many other paths and ways to get involved. And for any of you that volunteer with the UCC, you already are involved, which is wonderful. Because politics isn't necessarily for everyone. Oh yeah, I put on the video. You don't need to see that. I was in my 2012 run, just talking about change is possible, and I look like a baby in that photo.
You still look like a baby.
Well, I don't look like that. You don't age. One of the things I was really proud of working with the Ukrainian Canadian Congress was sponsoring a bill that now acknowledges September 7th as Ukrainian Canadian Heritage Day here in Alberta. I also, a couple that I didn't put up there was, I did the one trade mission, but leading a trade mission with Alyssa and others to Ukraine. And it was the first time since, I think Jean Zwozdesky went to Ukraine when he was a minister in the 2000s. But that was absolutely incredible. And then, of course, the opening of the consulate here in Edmonton. We worked very, very closely with the then ambassador and again the UCC, and yes, quite incredible. So for opportunities, as the other speakers have said, we have a federal election coming up, we have a municipal election next fall, we have a federal election or a provincial in 2027, but there's many different ways to get involved, and I think just volunteering if you don't know anybody, I would first suggest, if you want, provincial or federal, figure out which party that your values most align with, and then call them up and just say you want to volunteer or attend an event. And really, I think all of us would agree that we need more people engaged. That's the cornerstone of our democracy, and we need people, and especially young people. So that's my suggestion, is to get involved. the challenge is, maybe this is a little too honest. So unfortunately in electoral politics, the best person doesn't always win. The best person, the hardest working, the person with the best ideas, and that's just the way it goes. It is a significant sacrifice if you decide to run, not just for you, but especially for your family. And then, and Tyler may giggle at this one, but you know, behind closed doors, you may disagree with your colleagues, and you may have a totally different point of view, but you know, when you come out of the cabinet room, you're a united front, and you support all those ideas. But that's, again, just a reality with partisan politics. You know, and then for me, that last line is, and Tyler will know this, that I was never a super ideological, hyper-partisan person. I think good ideas come from all sides, and we need to discuss and debate ideas more and leave the mudslinging and personal attacks out. I don't think that's what politics is or should be. And I love to tell the story of in 2000, that Ralph Klein and Pam Barrett, who was the leader of the opposition, used to go at each other in question period, and then they would go out for drinks after. And they were able to be friends. And I will say that I have a number of friends in the current provincial government, and in my opinion, that's how it should be. I think that's about it. I probably went over.
Thank you very much, Deron. Let's give a round of applause for Deron Bilous. I think the speakers have responded to some of the questions that we put out beforehand. How did you get involved? Advice. But if there's anything you wanted to ask, I think perhaps one question to all the speakers to reflect on. I'll be over here, and you can bring me a notepad with that question on it. So let's go to Councillor Taneen Rudyk. Do we have her slides ready to go? Taneen is a fourth-term Vegreville Town Councillor with a BA in Political Science and a background working in government, nonprofit, and the private sector. Past president of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, elected to the board since 2017. She understands the importance of effective advocacy and the impact of unifying voices in local government sectors. A tireless volunteer, a community champion, she's dedicated to improving governance capacity, resolving conflict creatively, and representing her community and clients and constituents with integrity. So let's turn it over to Councillor Taneen Rudyk.
Thank you very much, and Rodyk. Good morning, everyone. I am pleased to see some familiar faces. I always say that Edmonton is a suburb of Vegreville, where I'm proud to call home. And I see some new Vegreville residents and some more experienced ones here, some of whom have had a direct impact on my career in elected life. Even just to start out the conversation, it is an honor to sit with folks that have dedicated their time and energy to making the world better right where they live, and that is truly how I was raised. I was born in Two Hills, the metropolis, and I think probably first exposure to politics was sitting around the table with my parents. It's a very small house, and a lot of vigorous discussions around that table, and I think that's part of the way that my sister and I were first exposed to the idea that it is your responsibility to contribute to the community that you live in. And that, to me, is really the basis for politics. We talk about lofty ideals, about making a difference, but it really does come from that investment in your community. Like Deron, I actually left Vegreville. I left as soon as I graduated and went as far away as I possibly could, and went to Japan as a Rotary exchange student, thinking that I needed to get a bigger experience, more exposure, more excitement, another language, and I did get all of that. Eventually, though, my husband and I, as our family expanded from 2 to 3 children, decided that moving back home closer to family was more important to us than potentially being able to get a latte at 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning. That being close to Guido and Nana and Papa and Grandma was more important for our family, and we moved back to Vegreville just as our oldest daughter was starting kindergarten. And we quickly became embroiled in all of the goodness that comes from living in a small community. And that gift continues to give back to our family. What was a 5-year move has now turned into a 24-year move. And I guess that would be the other thing that I would say is a life learning, is that what your plan might be can always change. And again, where you first thought you were going to end up might actually change, but who you are is what you bring to wherever you go. Our kids were all involved in the Ukrainian bilingual program, which very recently had its 40th year anniversary, and it's changed over the years. And I debated about whether or not I should wear a vyshyvanka today, because my maiden name is Fox. So to be completely transparent, I asked my kids, I said, do you think I should wear it? And they said, of course you should. This is the time. I don't get to wear it often. And this one was a gift to me from somebody else who I sat on council with. And as a parent, my children were in Ukrainian bilingual, so of course I needed to be on the board, and nobody stood up and said anything. So when we're talking about politics, often it's the first person that puts their hand up or avoids the glance. And that kind of governance in small communities, I mean, that's the reality, is that we take turns taking the lead. And so I became the president of the Ukrainian Bilingual Parents Association. I didn't know Ukrainian, except I know exactly the best type of Michalchyshyn are the ones by 2 mils. They've got to be about this big, super sour. But it was an honor to be able to ensure that both my father-in-law's heritage was honored, as well as all of those that had come to Vegreville before and who have come recently. And that expanded. All of our kids were Ukrainian dancers and have been blessed to be able to travel around the world. And in fact, we went to Ukraine, where we made relationships with my husband's family. And we were very pleased to be able to offer that safety to the Kovals when the war broke out, and just reach out and offer Vegreville as a home. And we are so pleased that their family of 5 came to Vegreville and have been entrenched in our community for the last couple of years. In fact, little Taras originally didn't speak any English at all, except to just say, no, Georgia. Everything I said, no, Georgia. But recently when I asked him, I was talking to him about doing his colors, because he's just 5, and he told me that purple is how you say purple. And I said, no, just because you said it with an accent, that's not purple. But that to me says that, again, that family has become a part of our community and the fabric that is so important from where I come from. And this map has, of course, the advocacy that our community always espouses is that this is a burgeoning community, and it might be small, but it's mighty, and all roads can lead to Vegreville. We've used our slogan as people are core, innovation our strength, and community our intention for this council. But when I first got elected back in 2010, I was asked by my friend here, Natalia Twarashenko, as well as a couple other community members, if I'd be interested in running, and I was a busy volunteer. I had a 2-year-old at the time, as well as 3 kids that were literally the busiest time of their lives, but my husband was very supportive, and I could not have done this job if I didn't have 2 sets of grandparents to be able to support my run for council. And I've been a councillor for 4 years, or 4 terms, so, so it's been my pleasure to be able to represent Vegreville. I've also been able to elevate that voice to the federal level by running for the National Board for Cities, Towns and Counties, by running for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. Eventually, I was able to be the president, which meant I was able to represent Vegreville outside of the country. And I continue to find opportunities to uplift local government leaders. I do feel like encouraging more women to be part of the political process is not only important, it's a necessity. 25% of elected officials across Canada are women, and that's at all orders of government. So I would encourage all of us to ensure that the voices around the decision-making tables are diverse. I just recently had a women in local government luncheon, so we are holding up the Pissinka, for which Vegreville is known. I also had the opportunity as FCM president to be able to meet multiple times with all federal leaders, including the Prime Minister. And when we're having particularly contentious discussions, I always feel like it's important to remind people where we come from, that we are human and that we might disagree, but we don't need to be disagreeable. And again, providing the opportunity to provide the Prime Minister with the Pissinka seemed appropriate. And the bottom picture here is presenting in Seville, in Seville, Spain, in my capacity as the president of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. This was a discussion where we were going to honor or commemorate the 1-year start of the war in Ukraine. And there was intense discussion. This is city leaders from around the world discussing whether or not it's appropriate to recognize all acts of aggression. My point at that time, and my discussion at that time, as Canada, as a Canadian representative and the Vice President of North America at that table, is that dates are important. And if we recognize specific dates, then we don't forget where we came from. Again, It was a pleasure to be there representing Vegreville. I've got my sticker on the back of my laptop, so every single picture also showed where I'm from, so that I might be in Seville speaking about Canadian issues on a global scale, but I am from Vegreville. My pleasure to be here today. I will just remind all of you that you're welcome to take home the pissing can with you, whether it's a pin, a stress ball, a tube, or a sticker. We welcome you to Vegreville anytime.
Thank you, Taneen. So we don't have a lot of time left, and nobody has brought me a question, so... Oh, there's one. So we have, our timer is glaring at us about 8 minutes here. So I'm going to ask this one question for each of our speakers. So I don't know if we'll have time to get to two, but let's go to this first one. So the first question, how do you, if you do, find volunteerism different from quote-unquote political leadership in terms of serving people? So what would be the lessons or the differences or similarities between volunteerism in the community and political leadership? I'm getting another question. I don't think we'll have time. 7 minutes on the clock. Let's start with Mr. Shandro.
Well, I don't know if there is a difference. I mean, that's the whole point of being involved in politics, whether you're on a constituency association board, if you are on a campaign as a campaign manager or door knocker. I mean, even to some extent, if you are on a ballot and you're successful, you're in the legislature, it's no different. You're serving your community. That's the whole point to be in that room, is to be able to represent the folks that you've been sent to represent and try and solve problems. So I don't see there being any different. And I think volunteerism, if you are involved in a community, if you're involved in a nonprofit, that's kind of the foundation that helps you be successful in politics.
Okay, thank you. Alyssa, any thoughts on volunteerism and political leadership?
I think the one thing that we can remember as youth is that being involved in your community and being involved in politics is also about encouraging you in your academic career, your professional career, and also your personal life. I've had some really incredible opportunities, and I have been involved since I was 12, so I am really passionate about youth getting involved, even from a young age, because it's all about making a difference. So, like Tyler said, there isn't necessarily a difference between political leadership and volunteerism, but it is all in how you make it and who you meet to build your network and look at those opportunities that are available for you moving forward. Because if you want to be more involved in politics, or you just want to do it as a hobby, that's really great, and I really encourage you to continue to do that.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to Deron and then to Taneen. We have about 6 minutes left on the clock.
Okay, well, I'll keep it really short. I think that they are one and the same. I think volunteering is, whether it's in politics or for anything that you're passionate about to make a difference in your community, that's volunteerism. And for campaigns, even the largest campaigns are mostly volunteers, quite frankly. So, and I think that all politics is local.
Okay, Taneen.
I would say they're the same. Their intention is to help and to make things better, and whether you're a volunteer or a local leader, I mean, most of us wouldn't call ourselves politicians. We're here to help make things better.
Great, okay, well, since everybody kept their question and the answer is short, we're going to go for 5 minutes on the clock. Second question. Any thoughts on Ukrainian newcomers? How can we encourage Ukrainian newcomers to get involved in politics municipally, provincially, or nationally? Let's start with Taneen. Any thoughts for newcomers? Any recommendations for them?
I referenced the importance of making sure that we expand our tables, and I think that's particularly important in small communities like Vegreville. We've done an incredible job of welcoming 100 newcomers, including our 100th was a baby born in Canada. So we're well experienced on knowing our neighbors, but for that reason too, it's important to find opportunities to reach out and bring somebody to that table. And making sure that it's not just the people that you're used to seeing, and making sure that we've got people that have just come joining us.
Great, thank you, Deron. Any thoughts on newcomers?
Yeah, I think, asking people to be involved. One of the things that we didn't talk about, and I'm really glad Alyssa brought up, and Taneen, women in politics. And, what's interesting is that we've found that women often need to be asked, and need to be asked multiple times. And so it's not a matter of just who puts their hand up. It's that we, as a greater society and community, need to be encouraging women to run, people of minorities, newcomers to get involved. And so, I think conferences like this and the work the UCC does is absolutely instrumental in getting people involved. And again, involved, in my mind, can start with a community league board or involved in your local community. It does not have to be through politics.
Alyssa, any thoughts? You've given us good advice already, but...
I have one. So I think one of the greatest examples of this is actually if we look at some of my closest friends, and I'm honored to know them, but within UCC-APC, there's a group of newcomers from Banff and Lake Louise that have established UCC in the Bow Valley. And they are all newcomers to Alberta. And they have established an incredible community within newcomers. I'm honored to know them as friends. I'm grateful that they're here today. And they really are an inspiration for how to be engaged in your community, but also use politics as an opportunity to meet new people and get involved in the community. So congratulations to them.
We love Bow Valley. We saw them in Calgary last night. And politics can be fun also, it's true.
It is fun.
Tyler, any final words of wisdom for newcomers, either for those who are trying to reach out to newcomers or those who might be newcomers themselves?
Well, Deron's absolutely right that it's incumbent on people involved in politics to ask, to try to get folks involved in campaigns. Whether you are a candidate yourself or whether you were just involved in a campaign, it's incumbent on you to ask. And then if folks are newcomers and they want to get involved, the same way that I got involved, just it's a matter of just showing up at a campaign office, whichever one you believe in, showing up, introducing yourself, and saying, hey, is there a shift, door knocking, can I put up some signs? Do you have they call it lit drops, where you're dropping literature off at people's doors? Can I do something? And just getting to know people in the campaign.
Great. No, I think, and my experience as a volunteer, I think even for those who don't know which political party they might be interested in, working for the elections officials themselves, whether it's Elections Alberta, Elections Canada, going door to door to talk to people and to get their name and address right, all of that is really, really important. So we have run out of time. I want to thank our panel for their incredible insight. Let's get a round of applause for our panel. We could have had another 2 hours, I think, but I think we are going into a coffee break, and I'm sure each or any of them would be happy to talk with you individually over coffee about where you might want to get involved, what advice you might want to give. So it's been an honor to be your moderator today. I'm sorry that we didn't have much more time, but we will continue to talk and politic because there's lots to talk about. So thanks everybody so much.